Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to do a little bit of a different video. It was requested that I make a video about workplace romance manga and some recommendations. So I have about 17 different series here to talk about very briefly, but my definition of workplace is a little more loose just because if I only spoke about the ones that are like traditional office setting romance, then I just wouldn't have very many recommendations for you. So I kind of expanded that definition to encompass any job related manga that does have romance in it. So I'm just going to get right into it, and we're going to start off with a little bit of an unorthodox one, I guess, would be Devil's Line, and this is by Ryo Hanada. It's a vertical release. I believe it's 14 volumes long. And this one is a supernatural series about devils, which are basically vampires. And the reason I believe this fits into this category is because our main character, Devil Guy, works for the police force, sort of, hunting down, he's in this particular sector that hunts devils. He himself is a devil, but he assists in hunting down devils who have started murdering people. And he basically meets our main character, who is a female, I believe she's a college student, and she sort of starts working with the agency he's involved with and kind of getting into research involved in that. And then also we follow other people within the government, other people within the sort of terrorist kind of organizations that are against the government controlling of devils and their rights. And so there's various different romantic stories happening alongside this kind of political unrest. So yeah, there's various agencies and stuff involved, and there's romances happening all within that. So I do believe that this would count as a workplace romance, even though you wouldn't normally think of it in that way, I think, if you were talking about Devil's Line. Another one is Perfect World, and this is by Rie Aruga. It's a Kodansha release. It's currently ongoing in English, at least. I don't know if it's finished in Japan or not. But this is a josei title that follows these two who were in high school together. They reunite because of work. Their companies are collaborating on a project. He's in architecture and she is in, I don't know if it's interior design or also architecture, but like a different sector. I don't really remember, honestly. But it does, they reunite through work, and they, it does talk about their careers and how his disability kind of affects his career and also gives him a different perspective in the field of architecture. So even though I think that it isn't necessarily the main focus, it does talk a lot about their jobs. And in that way, I think it could count as a workplace romance, even though they technically don't work for the same company. Another one that is a little bit more loose is Love Stage. This is a yaoi series that is 7 volumes long, and it's by Eiki and Taishi Zhao. This one is more of an industry sort of thing. They're both in the entertainment industry. They meet as children in a commercial, and then this boy, the main character, is dressed up as a girl, and so this guy grows up wanting to reunite with this girl he met as a child, only to realize when they reunite that when they're adults, that he's actually a boy. They fall in love, whatever, but they do both work in the entertainment, modeling, idol, acting industry. So, and it does go into a lot of the industry stuff, so I would count that as workplace. Another one that's focused very much on the workplace is Restaurante Paradiso, and this is by Natsume Ono. This one is a single volume. It does have a spin-off 3-volume series that focuses on the patrons of the restaurant, but this is set in Italy, in a cafe or a restaurant that is inhabited or employed by a person who hires only older men with glasses. And so our young protagonist goes to confront her mother and ends up kind of hanging around this restaurant. I can't remember if she is kind of helping out, maybe doing dishes or something. She doesn't really work there, but she kind of does. And then there's a romance with her and one of the older gentlemen at the restaurant. So it's short and sweet. I like it. I read it often. I like Natsume Ono. Her art style is very specific and very recognizable. But yeah, it's a shorter one that very much focuses on this restaurant. Another one is Tokyo Teraba Girls. This is by Akiko Higashimura. I believe this one's 9 volumes long, by Kodansha. It's complete as of a couple years ago now, maybe. But this is about these 3 women who are in their 30s, and they are not married or with children, and they want to be. So they set a goal that by the 2020 Olympics, Tokyo Olympics, they will be married and starting families. And our main character meets this young model through work. She is I think she's a screenwriter or script writer or something. My apologies. A lot of these series I haven't read in a little while, but I remember the gist of their stories. But anyway, I believe she's like a screenwriter, and so he's going to be acting in some TV show that she's writing on, yeah, so they do meet through work, and there's various projects and stuff that they both are involved in, as well as just her kind of frustration with this annoying guy, and trying to find a more mature man to start her life with. But it's very funny. It is actually hilarious. Next up, I got another yaoi, and this one is False Memories by Isaku Natsume. This is a 2-volume series, and it is excellent. It does not have any problematic yaoi tropes that would make someone uncomfortable, but Isaku Natsume does a very good job of focusing on workplace stuff. This one, I believe, is a toy maker, and then I think it's an advertising agency or something. But anyway, another one where they work for separate companies that are partnering on a project together. And one of them is a toy inventor. I remember that specifically. But yeah, so they work for separate companies. They come together for this particular project. And of course, they fall in love. It is lovely. It's so cute. And really well done. And I remember enjoying it thoroughly. And then while we're on the topic of Isaku Natsume, I'm going to throw in Candy Color Paradox. This is, again, another yaoi series with a consensual relationship. And this one is, these two work for the same company. They work in the kind of like gossip section of their of the magazine that they work for. He is the kind of photographer, and he is the writer, reporter. And so they are paired up. He's got a bit of a temper. He does not really like writing for the gossip section. He's uncomfortable with it, but he gets transferred there, and they get partnered together. And their working styles kind of clash and collide, but they turn out good results. Currently, I think 4 volumes of this are out. I believe volume 5 is out soon, which is very exciting. Next up, one of the more obvious ones is Wotakoy Love is Hard for Otaku by Fujita. These are 2-in-1s, despite being quite thin. These are 2 volumes in one, put out by Kodansha. I believe volume 4 just came out recently. I don't have that one, but I have the first 3 omnibuses. And this is about 4 otakus two of which are a little bit older, and they're together, and then our two main characters are together, and they're all otakus for different things. One is a cosplayer, she is a fujoshi, he likes video games, and the other guy's more just a general otaku. And it's about them in their office environment and their various otaku hobbies, and it's very cute and sweet. I like this one, but honestly, I think that other people like it a bit more than I do. It's got kind of a gag sort of style with really short chapters, which is fine, but I find that there's just a lot of stuff that I'm personally not interested in. Like gaming stuff, there's a lot of focus on gaming things, and I just don't care about any of that. Yeah, it's fun and it's cute, but I've been, thinking about whether or not I want to continue with it. Next up, one that is very funny. This is Stupid Love Comedy. It is a 3-in-1 complete omnibus by Yen Press, and the mangaka is Su Sakurai. This one is not a romance. It is a bit of a parody on a romance, because our main character is a mangaka, and she is writing, I think she's being tasked to write a shoujo manga or something, and she is not really great at that. She wants to just write, I think she wants to write like action series and stuff like that. But she's been tasked to write a romance. She hasn't really had much experience with romance. And she gets this hot new editor, this young guy who's a bit strict with her and is like, just please do your job. But she's lazy and procrastinates. She's good at her job, but she just is a nightmare to work with. And it is so funny. So even though it's not specifically a romance, it is meant to be kind of a commentary on her own experiences as a mangaka and this like desire to be surrounded by beautiful men, but it's just like she's a mess, and it's so funny. I want to reread this soon because I remember laughing so hard while reading it the first time through. Next up, we've got another yaoi series. This is Birds of Shangri-La by Ranma Rosaria. Currently, this is the only volume out. I believe the next volume is out some point mid-2021. Maybe spring, I don't remember entirely. But basically, our main character here goes to work at basically a brothel. It's a very upscale brothel on this island. And yeah, so his new coworker is this guy, and of course this guy identifies as straight, but he's basically a fluffer for the sex workers before they go in to meet with their clients. And so this guy is one of the sex workers, and he's a fluffer, and they've been paired together. It's excellent. It is excellent. I really enjoyed it. It is so the art is really nice, and just the general, like, I'm intrigued by this story from this first volume. This guy's got a bit of a temper, and this guy is super calm, and just doing what he needs to do to get some money because he's a bit down on his luck at the moment. Next up, we've got Night of the Ice by Yayoi Ogawa. This is another Kodansha release that's ongoing. I think I only have 3 volumes of this. I believe more of it is out currently, and I don't remember if it's complete in Japan or not. But basically, childhood friends. This guy is the one of the top figure skaters in Japan at the moment, and his childhood friend has to assist him by, at the beginning or before all of his meets or competitions, she has to recite his favorite magical girl anime spell in order for him to be successful. And so she works, I think she's a reporter, she works in like a publishing department or something, and their work kind of gets intertwined due to like trying to raise publicity for his career, and allowing her to continue to help him be successful. Yeah, so as it goes in a little bit, I think it's the second volume, we see a bit of a merger between their careers. And obviously a romance is going to happen at some point. But yeah, I like Yayoi Ogawa from her other work, Tramps Like Us or You're My Pet. Night of the Ice is okay. I do love figure skating, and I don't hate this story. I'm just not as gripped as I thought I would be, and I'm not sure why. But I mean, it's a fun one if you are looking for a workplace sort of situation that's a little bit different. Next up, I believe this is the final Boys Love series that I have on this list. This is Canis, Dear Mr. Rain by Zach, put out by Kuma. Despite being a Faku imprint, this is not at all explicit. And this one, again, a little bit more loosely workplace, but this guy, our main character, owns a haberdashery. He is a hat maker, and he runs into this young man who is kind of out in the rain and disheveled looking, and he is in desperate need of employees because he keeps firing all of his because he's a tyrant. And they have this big event coming up, so he needs employees, and so he asks this guy, he takes him home, feeds him, gives him a place to stay the night, and begs him basically as repayment for his kindness to come and work for his shop at this event. And so, yeah, I mean, the art is... Oh, the slip cover's fallen off here. I forgot it had a slip cover. There we go. The art is just really interesting. I like the character designs and the facial expressions, and the fashion is really cool too. But yeah, it's just he owns his own little hat making business, and this guy goes to help him out, and we see how he kind of impacts the business for the short amount of time that he's there. And yeah, it was very cute. I believe there are other imprints of this, I think stories of like his backstory that goes a bit farther into why he was there and what he was doing, but yeah, a good one nonetheless. And it is complete in that volume in terms of the story that's within that, so even if we don't get the other iterations of the story, it's not the end of the world. Next up, Sweat and Soap. This is one that people are talking a lot about, and it's Kintetsu Yamada, another Kodansha release. This one, more traditional workplace romance in that they meet through work. This fragrance company, he's a product developer and she works in accounting. They meet through work and they have relations at work as well as outside of work. Yeah, it's a bit more explicit. Or not explicit, it's just kind of, you know, it's got some moments that are a little bit more mature as they are adults, and adults have sex. So, but this one's lovely, and many people are talking about it, including myself in other videos, so no need to prattle on about that one for too long. Another one, this is Supply by Mari Okazaki, an older Tokyopop title that was unfortunately never finished. We got 5 volumes, volumes 4 and 5 being compiled into an omnibus as Tokyopop was going out of business at the time, or discontinuing the North American releases. This is more josei that is very like woman in the workplace focused, trying to balance work and love life. And I can't remember, I think that she dates a coworker at some point, or was in a previous relationship with a coworker, but then also is seeking relationships and trying to, you know, figure out what she's doing with her life, because her career as I think she's like a graphic designer or something. Her career is not going the way that she had hoped. She's not advancing as fast as she would like to. She's been there for a long time, and she's just trying to figure out like what she's doing there, if she actually still likes it. This is excellent. It is a damn shame we didn't get the rest of this in English, because this was so gripping when I read it. I felt it felt very real. It's a bit depressing because it's bleak But it felt like it really hit home. A lot of the panels, the artwork is just so interesting, and like I really love it. I love the fashion. I like the facial expressions and character designs, and it just felt very real, a real depiction of a woman who is working but getting older and worrying about, you know, what her goals are for the future, and how she can achieve those. Next is Servant X Service by Karino Takatsu. This is hilarious. I loved the anime for this. This is about municipal employees. There's a few new recruits. This is our main character here. This is, I think his name's Hasabe. He's another recruit, and then there's another woman as well, who all start at this municipal office at the same time. And so they're basically learning. It is a 4-coma, by the way. They're basically learning about their new job. Their boss is this rabbit, because he's, I guess, too shy to leave the house. So he communicates through this like animatronic rabbit that he has a speaker in, so he can communicate with his employees through. It's so funny. It is very charming. There is a bit of romance as well that occurs. And I just connect with this because I work for my municipal government as well, and in a very different sort of atmosphere, but a lot of the humor and a lot of the interactions and stuff that relate to being a municipal employee are very, very relatable. And so I love Servant X Service, and these are 2-in-1 omnibuses, and there's only 2 of these. So it really doesn't break the bank to buy these. And if you like workplace comedy and romance, this is a fun one to try out if you're kind of interested in the 4-coma layout but aren't really familiar with it. Yeah, it's very funny. It's hilarious. Oh, here's our other new recruit. And next up, we've got Madesama by Hiro Fujiwara. These are 2-in-1 omnibuses that were put out by Viz. There was a Tokyo Pop release that began, and then Tokyo Pop went under. Viz picked up the license and released them all in 2-in-1s. I believe there's 8 of these 2-in-1s, or is it 9? I cannot see from here. It might be 9. But yeah, Madesama, one of my favorite series. This is a high school romance. However, I put it on this list because our main character, Mikasa, works at a maid cafe. Misaki. Who's Mikasa? I don't know. Misaki works at a maid cafe, illegally, technically, because for her school, she's not supposed to have a job. She is the student council president at school, and she is breaking one of the largest rules by having a job because she needs to support her family. So the rich, popular dude, Usui, finds out that she works at this cafe and starts going there regularly because he likes her and he's teasing her, and it's very funny. The reason I put it there is because of the amount of time he spends there. He ends up helping out at the cafe quite frequently as well. So even though this kind of spends time between school and the cafe, there is a huge portion of this that is focused, obviously, the title is Maid-sama, focuses on the fact that she works at this maid cafe, and Usui, is also there. So that is why I include it in workplace romance. The art in this first volume is not as, spectacular as the art gets much better as the series goes on, but I do still really enjoy the character designs. I think that Misaki is a wonderful female protagonist. I think that she's a go-getter. She knows what she wants. She is very fiercely independent of men because of her father's kind of mistakes. But yeah, this is lovely. It is a very fun, hilarious series with a lot of heart, and I highly recommend it. And finally, we've got After the Rain, and this is by Jun Mayuzuki. This is a vertical release that are out in 5 of these omnibus versions. And this one is an age gap with our 17-year-old protagonist. She's in high school, but the majority of this series takes place at the family restaurant that she works at. And she has a crush on her 45-year-old manager, who is a bit... he is super... he's just not really living up to his potential. He is kind of ditzy. He's very nice, but he's just like one of those people that doesn't stand up for himself, doesn't really go out for anything, doesn't believe in himself. He's just kind of become a manager at this family restaurant and has been there for so long and doesn't ever really think he will leave that position. He has no aspirations for anything more than that, but she has put him up on this pedestal. And it's a really beautiful story about this girl who's just trying to come to terms with the fact that she has an injury that has prevented her from running, which is something she was extremely good at. She was a track and field star and her career kind of ended. And so she works at this family restaurant and has found basically a reason to continue through this manager who is just this regular dude and who's kind of enamored with her youth, not in a creepy romance kind of way, but in a way that's like, you have so much going for you, you have the rest of your life, take advantage of that. Why are you wasting your time on me, kind of thing. But it's a beautiful story about these two very different people who really needed each other at this point in their lives, and kind of propel each other to open their eyes to their potential. So even though it is potentially an uncomfortable topic for people, I think that this is so beautifully handled. I love the art. It is funny. There's other employees and romances happening at this family restaurant as well. And it's just lovely. This is a series that has recently come out that is one of my favorites. And I highly recommend After the Rain. So that is all I've got. That was a lot. So if you've made it this far, congratulations. Thank you for watching. If you have any workplace romance series that you recommend, leave them down below. If you have any comments on the series I spoke about, also leave that down below. Thank you to whoever it was that had suggested this topic. I've got a few more topic-based videos coming out because people have been asking for specific videos to be made, so I'm excited about that. And if you have any suggestions for videos you would like me to make, topics or recommendations more specific, rather than just reviews of single series, then let me know. Thanks for watching.